show the gut the side. Look at that thing, man. Oh my God. Now that's how you start. Dude, that thing is so long. That's what we're looking for.
That thing.
That, to me, looks like a PB. What do you think? That's going over 5.
No, it's not 5, but holy crap.
Dude. Damn right. That's a 4. Dude. 4 pounder right off the bat. Here we go. Oh my God. Dude. Look at that. I have big hands. That thing's huge. Girthy. That's triple C thick.
I'm calling them today, boys.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. What we got in the chat? Terry, Jim B, Chris, Little Tommy, Sean, Gordy, South Jersey, Fish. Nope, sorry, Z-Fish, TV18. How y'all doing, boys? Got some spicy new stuff to show you tonight. And, of course, as always, give it a minute, and then we get started with the weekend fishing report because, well, we got a lot to talk about. And then, of course, we've got Derek, because he just went out today and hammered him, so we can have him chime in on that, too. Oh, damn, look at that. FXR just posted the crap out of us. Cool. Oh, yeah, that's right. The Father's Day thing. They posted my kids. Like, as soon as we hit start, all of a sudden my phone's like, buzz, 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 buzz. I'm like, what the hell?
I like the comments. David's like, hey, guys, I'll be back in a bit. I'm fishing.
Hell yeah. What's going on, Mark?
Sean, Little Tommy.
Oh, thank you, Gordy. Boop. Recorded. Although technically I don't need to do that because we use StreamYard and it records everything for me. So if I need to, I can rip it from that, but this is like a lot easier and a lot better. So we'll go that route. We'll give it one more minute. But so again, the plan is tonight we're going to talk, obviously, interview here with Derek at Beast Coast Fishing. We're going to talk about 2 new baits. Well, 1 bait and 1 new something else. You have to wait for that. That he's going to drop. We're going to give away a shirt or a hat later on. I don't know if Derek's feeling generous. Maybe he wants to hook somebody up with something.
Yeah, we'll throw in a tactical hoodie.
Hell yeah. And then from there, we're going to, we're also do the weekend fishing report and a couple other things. So first and foremost, for everybody that's already here right now, thank you very much. We always appreciate everybody that comes over to hang out every Wednesday night. For those that haven't done it yet, if you could do me a favor, take a second, hit like on the stream. It helps immensely. For those that watch this after the fact, if you missed it live, if you go ahead and leave a like on it, leave a comment, share it. Like, that's the big thing that I've been really asking a lot of help with is people just sharing things. Because that more than anything drives a ton more traffic, just to everything we do in general. You know, like the proof in the pudding on that, like especially is there's a couple of videos that we've had that blew up past 1,000 views recently, which was awesome because there's a lot of shares on it. Our social media, like our Instagram, we had that one reel of Andrew snapping off his depths 250 that last I checked was at 94,000 views, but it had almost 2,000 shares or just over 2,000 shares. So like sharing is caring, friends. It helps immensely.
It does.
So anything you guys can do to help us on that would be greatly appreciated. For those that are interested in donating, one of 3 ways you can do it. If you're set up to do it through here on YouTube, you can do it that way, or down in the video description below, there's a link to both our Venmo and our PayPal. Anything and everything you guys can do helps immensely. I did talk about it 2 weeks ago. I still forgot to put it up on the screen. Our next donation goal, we're working towards continuing to revamp the studio here for when we stream. Right now, I'm looking at an old TV that is not ideal for what we do. It's I mean, it's an HD TV, but it's from 2007, and the resolution doesn't quite work, so formatting on it is really weird. It makes it okay, but still moderately difficult to manage the stream as a whole and get to comments and pull up other links, the whole 9 yards. So What I'd like to do is a new double arm mount and then 2 like cheap but proper computer monitors that I can run from my PC, and then it just makes everything 10 times easier for managing it. So that's what we're driving towards. I have no idea what it's going to cost. I just know that we have $100 towards it, so I've got that up here. So any donations we get goes towards that. I like to keep you guys in the loop on what it is that we try and do with the money that you guys are so generous with for us. Aside from that, let's jump into it. Let's do a weekend fishing report. Derek, you just got off the water, so let's start with you, buddy. What did you do today? What did you find for water temps? What region were you fishing? So people kind of have an idea as to what they can maybe expect over the next couple days when they get out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like 75 to 78 today, depending on where you were and what time of day.
Toasty.
The surface temp was right around like 77 most places, and we were in Connecticut flipping a jig, catching the crap out of post spawners. It was fun.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was a
I
lot
want
of
to
fun.
do that. Where did we go this weekend?
Well, hang on. I want to back it to Derek. I'm curious. What was your go-to color of choice on your jig and trailer, and what was the water clarity? Because that's like the details people really like to hear.
Yeah, so it's funny because this lake was actually much clearer than it usually is, or at least the couple times I've been there that I've seen it, and it's, I think, like entirely a forage lake. Like, I don't know if there's any alewives in it. There might be some, but mostly they're eating like crayfish and bluegill and perch. So I like that stealth crawl color. It's just really natural, but it's still like opaque. You know what I mean? And it looks like a crayfish or a panfish of any species, a perch. It's got some yellow in it. I don't know. I mean, I tend to overthink colors to a degree, but stealth crawl, dirt bag, and like certain situations, 1 or 2 other colors, and that's pretty much all I would use. But stealth crawl was my deal today. But I was fishing with my buddy Nick, and he was flipping black, and he got bit just as much as I did. So
It was getting eaten pretty much.
yeah, I mean, the fish in this lake, they just eat jigs, and I don't know why we didn't catch any big fish today. Usually when they eat like they were, we caught like 30 in a couple hours, but it just never got above 3.5 pounds. But which is weird because when they're eating like that, and there's big ones in there, usually you stumble across something noteworthy, like out of 30 fish, but it didn't happen today. But it was still a ton of it was a ton of fun. My ribs are like covered in little bruises from just the whole setting, no drag, and 20-pound fluoro.
Dude, those are the best days. We were saying that by the end of day 2 when we were on Champlain, because our first day we caught between 70 and 80 fish. We lost count.
Dude,
and it was
your ribs got all bruised up. Did you notice that? Or at least or I don't know what you were doing. I guess if you weren't like really leaning into them, you probably wouldn't.
Oh,
have
yeah,
that.
no. We were hammering them every hook set.
Yeah.
Every freaking jig fish, man. And then we figured a little over 230 fish in 4 days, and 210-ish of those came in the first 3 days. The last day we were there, we only fished for a few hours. We only caught 20, and maybe a hair over 20, I forget. But out of the 230 fish, I think 215 of them were on a jig. There was only a handful that we didn't catch on jigs, and it was mostly me with the crankbait.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but like awesome. Day 4, every time we set the hook, I was like, ow!
Yeah, it sucked. Real quick, I got to give a shout out to Carter Moore. He, I think his grandfather is TV18.
Oh, nice. All right.
So,
hey, Carter.
He can't watch too much tonight. He's got to go to bed early because he's still in, I think, elementary school. So.
Oh, yep.
Have a good night,
awesome.
bud.
So somebody's asking. Somebody in the comments, Jim B, is asking Derek trailers. Well, I like the flip into light because it's a Beast Coast bait, obviously. But I've just been cutting those down, and they work awesome. Like that flip into light's really cool because it's got this really aggressive but steady flutter. Like regardless of what you do with it, like whether you're Texas rigging it with a 3/4 ounce tungsten weight or cutting it down and fishing on the back of a 3/8 ounce jig, you still get it to do what it does. So I'm totally fine using that until we got our, dedicated jig trailer, which is another new item that we don't have drawings for yet. But yeah, so I was just using the Flip and Delight. So was Nick. But honestly, it's either like action or beaver style bait. And we probably could have gone them on like a beaver style trailer today, but it was clear. They didn't really need the disturbance or anything else to kind of like draw them in. They could see that jig falling from like 30 feet away. Well, 15 at least. But yeah, I love that Flip and Delight as a trailer. It's just that Flip and Delight. I actually started using it because you guys got me thinking about it, fishing in the back of a chatterbait when you kind of want a little extra, or when like you do, dirty water, really windy. Yep. And I like it a lot actually in the back of the chatterbait. And I'm not even trying to pitch a product. I just meant to tell you that specifically because I was throwing it the other day sideways, and when we were making that bait, we weren't thinking about it as a chatterbait trailer, so I didn't know if it was even going to be balanced when you rigged it sideways on a jackhammer. But when I threw it, it was just perfect. Like,
yeah,
perfect size, perfect action, perfect profile. Like it literally is perfect for it. if you want something bulkier and a lot more action, than your Blade Runner. The Blade Runner still got plenty of kick too, but that Flip and Delight it's a little bit more violent. So
it is.
It's just it's a louder totally presentation
thing. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, you are correct. Flip and Delight, Alec. I can confirm the Flip and Delight is all you need.
So he's right. And before we get into our fishing report, I want to touch upon this because it's Mark asked a really good question that I was about to bring up. Do you cut the top off only? What
do you mean on
sides,
that
or sometimes near the bait by cutting it? So with the Flip and Delight, when we were up on Champlain, that's what So I was fishing the MB Sexy Melon open water sniper in 3/8, but I was taking a twin-tailed hula grub because I don't have any regular twin-tailed grubs, and I was just cutting off the hula, and I'm like, hell yeah, that looks good. That's basically like a spider jig on steroids.
Yeah, it's like a Kitex little spider, except bigger.
Yep. So I was throwing that, and I was hammering them for the first day, and then a little bit on the second day. But by day 3, like that, it wasn't really kind of panning out. Actually, maybe it was even halfway through the first day. But so then Andrew switched over to that same open water sniper. And he was just taking the whole Flip and Delight, and he cut off about an inch.
I saw that. I remember. I was like, I can't believe you found a way to use that Flip and Delight on a sniper jig.
Oh,
it's such a small hook.
Goes, you go another layer deeper though.
Short and fat.
Because he was trimming it down about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and that was working perfect. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna go a step further, and I trimmed the sides down. So like when you trim it down about that inch. And then from that point, it kind of flares out before it comes back. But when you trim it down an inch, at the top where you've cut it, like the width of that is about the same as right at the top where the appendages begin. So all I do is I trim the sides to streamline that. So I got like that more streamlined, thinner, but still very noisy presentation. And dude, it was like instant. And there's one point in the video on day 3 where I left it in there. Andrew's like, oh, just change your trailer. And we were talking about that. I was like, dude, if you change that trailer and we trim it up a little bit, I swear to God, it's making a difference. And it really did. We were hammering him, just trimming it up because part of it was the profile. The rest of it was the action. That's what I like about the Flip and Delight specifically is it gives you both. It's got the kick in the legs, but when it's standing there, the appendages still stand up. So it's an easy profile. You get as much kick as, say, like a twin-tail grub, but then they still stand, so it's easy for them to pick it up and see it when it's on the bottom.
Yeah, and it thumps harder than a twin tail too. Like it's actually emitting a whole lot of vibration versus something like a grub or like a swim bait style tail.
Yeah, and it stinks.
They stink.
Dude, stink.
Don't leave those in your truck on a hot day.
I mean, I have a permanent supply in my truck. So my truck, literally, you open the door and you just get hit in the face with them because I always have open packs because after work, I pop down to my mom's community on Candlewood and, I've got a couple, sometimes I hop in the boat and just take 45 minutes to clear my head. And so I'm always like finding an opportunity to just flip them around a little. But yeah, my truck stinks bad.
Dude, oh man, I don't know. I wanted to try a different bait, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stick with this one. And it just worked. It just worked.
It's a good bait. Actually, I felt pretty special. I saw that Tackle Warehouse has their, well, not to just for what it's worth, they've got their What's New, and I saw that the Flippin' Delight was the headline of their What's New little segment. Not that I have any, affiliation with them. I just, anytime a retailer calls out our stuff, I think it's cool. So
that's
that's awesome, dude. Well earned, though. I mean, we're not, again, everybody knows that's watched the show on a regular basis knows we don't just blow smoke up anybody's ass. We say something, we fucking mean it. We've been doing this a long time, and we find something we believe in, we talk our asses off about it. So
I appreciate
it was well earned. It's a phenomenal friggin' trailer and has insane versatility. And now I'm really excited that it's like really Texas rigging season for us here. So I'm looking forward to actually just beating the piss out of some vegetation with that thing.
Well, I think everything, this is a good segue into like the product development, process. Like I want to start on that. So basically what I'm going to do is take that Flippin' Delight claw style and, a lot of the body elements, but I'm going to thin it out. And there's going to be some modifications on the claws. Like the radiuses are going to be slightly, the radiuses and the diameter of the claw are going to be slightly different than they are right now. And they're going to be shorter. So basically the Flippin' Delight's going to be morphed into more of kind of like a twin tail or a double tail grub style bait. So that's going to be tailor made for a jig trailer. And that's the purpose. I mean, that's why I'm going to do that, because, you need, a lot of guys like to have just like a thin bait along that hook shank when you're flipping a jig or whatever you're doing with a jig, anything. And, I also think for some jigs, the claw length on the Flippin' Delight, because it's primarily a flippin' bait, is just a touch long, in my opinion. I mean, honestly, I think they're just as long as some companies like traditional jig trailer bait. But to me, I'd like to see, the same, if not more, water displacement in like, a shorter, wider claw, just for the sake of being a jig trailer or like a double tail grub. So that's happening. I just, there's just no point in getting it moving right now, because it'll be ready in like, November. And in November, you're done. Like pretty much, that's just a bad time to release a plastic that's going to primarily be used on the back of a jig. From the industry perspective, I guess is really what I'm saying as far as, right out of the gate sales. So, I'm probably going to hold off on that, and it'll be like a January, February release. Actually, Dan, I think Dan Kenny's probably on this. I think Dan Kenny's on this live
he's in
stream.
the chat.
Yeah, I was just going to say maybe we'll release it at the NE Fishing Expo next year.
See, now you're talking.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. That's probably exactly what I'll do.
And Dan, you can go ahead and book Andrew and I for the tank demo. We'll do jigs and trailers.
Right.
Book it.
Frank's Red Hot Sauce. Ben Bradley. Yeah, Ben, there's not much that can really cover the scent of them. It's pretty amazing, actually. The oil blend we use. By the way, they're moderately salted too, but the salt is like super, super fine. So, they don't chew up as quick as like a Yamamoto, like a Senko bait or something like Senko style bait. But they're salted too. But yeah, that scent blend is shad, crawfish, and garlic oil. It's a combination.
Yep.
And man,
it stinks.
Stinks. I don't think Frank's Red Hot is going to do much for you.
Nah.
I still trim him with my teeth.
Oh, you're a fucking animal.
I think I did twice and I forgot, and then I was like, nah.
Yeah, because once you get in your mouth, that scent just goes straight up your nostrils. Like
so bad. So bad.
Just lingers.
But it's so good.
Yeah. Anyways, that's all I got. I'll let you guys do the talking. I don't know if you want to show the little you do what you got to do. You're still in the fishing report, aren't you?
Yeah, well, so let's turn it back really quick, and the only reason I do want to go back to the fishing reports because Andrew and I went for smallmouth, which is something we haven't done. Well, we did it once on Mother's Day, actually, of all days, but my wife was like, kicked me out. She's like, just go somewhere local for the morning and come back. I was like, all right. So we went to a pond that smallmouth only had been dying to go to. We did all right, but it was I don't know. To me, it didn't really count as a smallmouth trip. So we're like, what do we do this past weekend? The last 3 trips for largemouth were just not good. The choices we made for southern New Hampshire, the first in that 3 weeks, it was too close to spawn. The next 2 weeks, it was just, we chose ponds that were still just like too close to post spawn. So they're in that weird funk. Yeah. So like, screw it. We went to the lakes region hoping that maybe it progressed far enough along that we could get into a decent post-spawn bite. And it actually panned out pretty good.
We got a lot of fish.
We did. We were out there for 9 hours. I think 9 hours of actual fishing. And between the 3 of us, because we took out our subscriber, Dean, who lives up on the lake, and we had between 30 and 40 fish. I know definitely at least 30, but I honestly think we had upwards of 40, and I know it seems like a wide swing, right? Like, how do you think between 30 and 40?
That's a lot of fish.
That's why. Yeah, it was a good day. And, rigging up everything, which I love doing the night before, like taking 2 hours, like go through, like, all right, what am I going to tie on? What do I hope it's going to bite tomorrow? And one of the things I had tied on that I was really hopeful for was a tube. And I have a rod specifically for heavier stuff, but was intended to be used to crack 1/2 ounce and 3/4 ounce tubes. And it does wonders at it. So I had a 3/4 ounce tube with a rattle tied on. And I was like, but I really want to get them on the sniper and swim baits and like other things and topwater. We were throwing a lot that morning. So Andrew and I were bouncing between jigs and like everything else, and Dean started with a tube. Now, we found water was 68 to 69 or 70. No, 67 to 69. I think one spot we saw it almost touched 70.
Yeah.
And we still found a couple on beds here and there. We
plucked one along. Some spawning fish.
Huh?
There was probably some spawning fish.
Yeah, there was a few. I mean, they were like very clearly on beds, but like we were like, okay, this is definitely getting into post-spawn period because friggin' Dean picked up that tube right off the bat and just started cracking them, but like literally in inches of water. I mean, he was throwing it practically on the bank and getting smoked immediately. We did that for the better part of the day.
That's cool.
And then we moved around a little bit from there because we're trying. The whole reason we went to this specific lake in the lakes region was we're looking like that's my place to go to for bigger smallmouth in the state.
Yeah.
And we were just getting like tons and tons of what, like 2 to 2.5 pounders, Andrew, was like the bulk of what we caught for the day.
It wasn't, I mean, it was fun. Don't get us wrong, but not really what we were looking for.
It sounds exactly like my experience today.
Yep. But
I feel like believe me, I would like, as I say this, I'm like, what am I talking about? Like if I could go out and crack like 20 fish by myself, like flipping the heavy rod and like, they're all 3 pounds. Like that's fun. Like I should like it. That's awesome. But
it is.
But in the back of my mind, I was like, come on, where the fuck is the big one? Like it's gonna we're gonna flip into like one of these is gonna be like a big one, and it just never happened. And it's like, come on.
It's kind of a letdown, but at the same time, you look back and you're like, all right, it was a good day.
Yeah, it was a really good day. It's like fun, it's good old fashioned fun. But then, like I always these days I always ask myself, I'm like, what was something going on? Like why didn't I or whoever I was fishing with catch like a big? You know what I mean? That's just like always on my mind these days.
Seriously, bigger fish are just pushed off. They're just pushed out. I mean, I spent a good part of the day throwing a glide, and I had a lot of followers.
Well, there's your problem.
Dude,
I just wanted to see what I could call out. I didn't really give a
messing around, dude.
Subscriber out, so I was like, "We'll get him on a bunch of fish." And
it's crazy the
the
calling out power of that depths. It's insane. And then what was it in the last hour and a half we were out there, and you called out that 4+ pounder that came right to the boat chasing it down?
Yeah, 30 feet of water. Yeah,
that was insane. Yeah, 35 feet of water, and that thing came up and tried to smoke it right at the boat.
That's
like
awesome.
Holy shit.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But like one last point I want to make about our trip, and something to consider for you anglers all over the northern half of the country. If you're looking for smallmouth and you're in somewhat of colder water still, in the sense of like, I would like to think most places are at least low 70s by now, but this being a bigger, deeper glacial lake, we found still in the upper 60s. Still some fish on beds, but primarily everything was post-spawn in some way, shape, or form. And we tried like hell to get onto bigger fish, just didn't pan out. But one of the things I've noticed, and this has happened more than several years, probably like 4 or 5 years in a row now, specifically when I'm looking for smallmouth. we saw it in the first 2 hours where we had some good quality fish, like, at least 3+ pounders chasing our baits back. We could watch them just, run it down, run it down, run it down. They'd always stop a couple of inches off the bait, put the brakes on, and then just F right off.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I've seen this before and I know what to do now, because I really figured it out about either 2 or 3 years ago, but like definitively last year and the year before, I was like, okay, I know what to do. If you start seeing that, the thing I've found that works really, really well is to go with something like a swim bait or jerk bait, or if you can get it going, a crankbait. Some days I've been able to make work, but you need a way to slow that crankbait down, so you got to weight it so it doesn't rocket right back up on the paws.
Yeah.
But work something really fast and aggressive. Like, I was throwing a 4-inch swim bait on a 3/8 ounce football head on my jig rod, so it's straight 15-pound fluoro with an 8.3 to 1 reel, and I would like burn it.
Yeah, you were burning it quick.
Kill it,
Huh.
drag, and then moderate speed out, pause, drag, and then burn it again. Every single time, as soon as I started swimming it after that pause, it didn't matter if I was just slow rolling it, moderate speed, or like fucking burning the thing.
You got him to
The
fire.
moment I got it going again, that's when they'd hit. So you need something really fast and aggressive to call them in, and you can see them like 10, 15, 20 plus feet out. Yep. And they'll come bombing after it, but then you have to work in a pause every once in a while for them to actually commit to eating the damn thing. This year, we found it was a tube, and the same thing. Like, I was literally just retrieving it, like swimming a tube, basically, kill it, drag, and then thump, they'd eat it. Or the swim bait. Last year was a jerk bait, Vision 110, bombing out like 150 feet, and just like 10, 15, 20, just crack, pause, wait like 2 seconds, and then poof, as soon as you moved it, they were trucking it. So something for you guys to keep in mind if you're going out there chasing smallmouth this weekend, especially in the lakes region of New Hampshire. There's a good chance you might run into the same conditions. Keep that in mind.
Cool.
What?
Nothing. I mean, I tried crankbait a lot, cranking a lot
We both
too.
did. You did more than I did.
Yeah, did it for, I don't know, a lot, and I couldn't get a sniff on that thing.
No.
Any of the ones I was using, nothing.
But I do wonder if you had been able to weight down that crankbait, if that would have changed what you were finding.
I should have just picked up a jerkbait.
Probably. But, I mean, everything we were finding was way too shallow for a jerkbait. You probably would have broke off a bunch of 110s, and that would have sucked.
Yeah.
Oh, you got your Berkeley cutters, so that would have been okay.
Yeah, it was cheap.
Yeah, say it's 1/4 the cost of a 110.
I know.
All right. Anyway.
You probably could have got that going too with well, you said they were mostly smallies, but you could still have used a smaller trailer and burned a jackhammer along the bottom, fished it like a jig, popped it off the rocks. I bet they would have smoked that too.
Absolutely. But I that thought crossed my mind, but I was like, it's going to be too expensive.
Thing I don't want to lose.
No, and it's it's New Hampshire. It's all granite. That shit's jagged, man. It's unforgiving. And I lost, I don't even know how many swim baits and tubes. And I know I was getting really pissed off later in the day because I got so tired of getting snagged. But it was working, keeping it that close to the bottom. So it's like, well, this is what you got to deal with to get them to bite. And we caught plenty. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But let's turn it back to you, Derek, and Beast Coast. And I want to talk about just the progression of how the idea of a bait, comes to existence, like comes to mind, and then the whole process of what it takes to get into production. And I want to talk about the flipping the light specifically, and then from there, we can roll into the new swim bait that you're working on. We can drop the teaser on that for people, give them the first look, and then we can, from there, talk about your terminal tackle, like jigs and stuff, like what leads, that whole process, and then show them first look at the other thing.
Truthfully, it's funny. Like I feel like I'm repeating myself sometimes because I've done just not that I do a lot of chats or lives, but there was a live that we were that I was just on where I kind of ran through the process, and I feel like it occurred to me in that discussion that really it's like the process is honestly the same regardless of what product type. Now the tooling requirements and the length of that process varies depending on the product type, but really it's like with the Flip and Delight, it was like, okay, you kind of compile things that people want, and it sounds really obvious and simple, and big companies call this consumer insights, and they spend all kinds of money doing it. But like, I just talk to my buddies that are hardcore anglers that fish literally more than they do anything else in their lives, and just get info and ask questions and figure out like exactly what's wrong with some of the most popular baits. So like with the Flip and Delight, it was like, all right, well, when you're Texas rigging with like a 4.0 or a 5.0 hook, what's like the thing that everybody gets pissed about is even when you don't catch fish, you blow those baits out really quickly, whether it's in the back or in the ass end there where you insert the hook, pull it through, and there's the keeper barb there. Like, if that area, so first of all, if the material's too salty, forget it. After about 20 minutes or 30 or 40 flips, 50 flips, like that bait just starts to like slip. So, that was like a note from a material standpoint that needed to be kept in mind. And then, that real thick like ass.
Yeah, that triple C thick booty.
Yeah, but like right where the sprue injects the material, that area, the tail of the bait, the rear, whatever you want to call it, that area right there needed to be like literally almost, I think the measurement on that was like a little over 3/8, closer to like a 1/2 inch thick. So it holds like a big old flipping hook really nicely. And then it also stays on just about anything else you want to put it on, like a jackhammer, for example, really well too. So basically like what I'm saying is those are like really simple little non-obvious things that I think a lot of people would just use the product and be like, yeah, that bait's awesome, without even really thinking about, well, it's not blowing out as much. And so it's got, a little concave slit that runs the whole length of the body. So you can actually pop that hook point through the bait and you don't even have to expose it. You can just pop that hook out, that flipping hook out, and it sits right down in that pocket to like the perfect degree. Even when you're flipping around like milfoil and stuff, it won't hang on it. And so you basically got an exposed point in a flipping bait. And, there's a lot of companies that have like a channel or a groove out there. We just kind of like measured ours and took that silly, simple little element seriously. So it's like you just do that type of thing a bunch of times and you end up, again, the claws. It's like there's, in my opinion, like there are very few trailers out there that you can flip on a 3/8 ounce or like a 5/16 ounce jig or just Texas rigging it with a weight, and they'll actually have that, equal and intentional like flutter or flap, whatever you want to call it. Like most baits, if you put them on a weight that's too heavy, even if they have crazy action when you're retrieving it or flipping like a 1/2 or a 3/4 ounce weight, well, of course you're going to get what you want out of that. But like, like today, my buddy was throwing that freaking Flip and Delight with like a 1/4 ounce non-pegged weight or something. Sounds like you. I know you do that, Sean. That bothers me.
I've done it both ways, but I've had more success with an unpegged weight than I have pegged.
I know.
There's times where both make sense, but
I get it. But anyway, so my point is just like, so that was like a big deal. Is like, you had to change claw thicknesses and radiuses and things like that. That Flip and Delight actually took like, I think a lot of people would look at it and be like, oh, it's another flipping bait. But until you use it, like it really, I think, is like one of the better flipping baits out. And I would never say best because there's so many big brands with phenomenal products and they have engineers working on this stuff full time. But, without like patting myself on the back, I think that if you look at that Flip and Delight and you actually fish it, it's really an excellent bait. Because there were like 7 little details like we just talked about that were all thought out. And so, you just end up with a product that meets the bill for all that stuff. And, there's a design out, there's kind of like a, I guess you'd say kind of like a physical design element to the baits too. Like, did we need to add like ribbing along the body and the channel and stuff like that? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it displaces a little more water and there's a little bit of bubbling that probably happens, but no, we didn't need that. But like, that's the design element that I like to put on things. So yeah, we just came out, it just ended up with this awesome finished product. And I feel like if you, nice Zamp.
I was waiting to see that.
But yeah, like that's the deal. Like actually Zamp's one of those guys, you guys, Sean, like, even if it's just like a note or a text or an email, that's like, yo, what do you think about this? Yo, do you ever fish baits like this? Like you think like Zamp knows, like all you guys, like, I've done that to you probably once or twice, but like I do that constantly with like my whole network of people, because that's how you end up with something that like anglers just get and they like, and I feel like that's what I just need to keep doing, because then I don't have to spend money paying big name pros to convince you that like, an inferior product functions and performs the same way. When the reality is, it is the little details that like serious anglers care about. So I'm just going to keep rolling the way I've been rolling. And so that's honestly like the process. And once you get those kind of notes, like that's the most, honestly, like that's some of the hardest stuff, is like, how do you get this thing just right to make itself different from the 190 other flipping baits in the category, literally, you know what I mean? If not more. So, what's up, Bill? What's up, Zamp? Look at all these dudes.
Derek looks like John Cruise.
Even Smallmouth freaks made it. So my question then is, and Andrew, any questions you got? Throw
But let me finish your answering the question in full, and I'll make it quick so that you can take back over, because I don't like to talk that much. But
that's why we have you here, buddy. You're supposed to be doing most of the talking, not me.
Well, so this is important though. It's like, once you get all those notes down, then basically what you do is you just take pieces of plastic and pen and ink, ink and paper, and then you digitize, and you basically just kind of like get yourself to a point where you want to make a prototype, and you work from there. I mean, it's basically so I just basically described like the whole process of like concept, and then, the early development, prototype, test it, and then, you build a production mold. We don't do that stuff. I don't do that like in the shop. Like somebody that's a professional that is really, really good at injection and managing all that stuff and 800 plastics and glitters. Like that's just not, I can't handle that with the way that currently the business is set up. And I'm totally fine with that, because I absolutely love our partner who is injecting all of our stuff for us. Like, I think it's like my most valuable like partner that I've in any line of work, you know what I mean? They're awesome. So I can't wait to do more soft plastic designs, because I think that everything is just, just mint with the whole process. Like, we vibe. They do a phenomenal job. They understand where my brain is at as far as like quality and picking and packaging. And so it just works. And by the way, you should have all that figured out before you even move forward developing a product with a factory.
Oh, I bet.
Because if you don't, and you leave anything to chance, unless they have extensive experience in the industry and they can just basically do all that work for you, which some factories will and can, but if you're a big client. But if you're not, and you're just trying to get things moving on a minimal budget, you need to just do as absolute much work as you can by yourself, and up front. And I'm answering this question like people are intending to do this themselves. And I don't know if that's the right attitude to have, but that's how I'm answering the question. So sorry.
No, dude, no. But I appreciate that you do it, and I guarantee you there's a lot of others in the chat that do, because like I know there's at least one bait maker in here that kind of insight is going to be incredibly valuable to them, and I'm sure there's others that will watch it after the fact that will always appreciate that insight too. And at least for me, like I like that, and maybe it's just, I don't know if it's the angler in me or the engineer in me, but I like hearing about all of the details of the entire process. But
it's the engineer.
My whole my whole career has been centered around new product development. So even though it has nothing to do with bait making, it's still very much the same process. You have to have all that shit laid out before you can even go to a guy to have him make it, and then work with, sales and marketing to get that shit ready to get promoted and get on the website and all that stuff. Like, I've been involved in every aspect of that, and either for products I've helped developed or products the idea completely 100% came from me. I developed 100% of it, got it ready for production, the whole 9 yards. So like, I understand it and I totally appreciate it. And especially hearing it from a fishing perspective, love it.
Yeah. Good. Sorry.
What was the fastest bait from pen and paper to in a bag on the shelf ready to buy?
What did you say, Andrew? I missed the first part.
What was the fastest that it's taken from pen and paper to being able to buy it off the shelf?
I like that question. You're asking the opposite of what I was about to ask. I want to hear this one first.
Yeah, honestly, they all take. Like, I can't answer that question the way that I think you expect, because a lot of it has to do with like what else I'm fucking around with for that week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Like sometimes stuff just gets put on hold, even though I want it to move full speed. And that's not the project's fault or the complexity. It's me trying to ship web orders with my, employee. It's like, there's just shit that happens that like needs to be addressed immediately. And it sucks because long-term, the business needs more products. Like, there's only like people are like, oh, Beast Coast, people think Beast Coast is big. And I don't know why, but Beast Coast is tiny. And, the exciting part of it to me is how much room there is to just like make.
I think it's bigger than you think it is.
Well, I think from like a brand perspective, like I know that we're starting to get like some really good traction up here in the Northeast, and that's really where my focus is like, I think like a lot of the products that are coming, people are going to be like, there's just a natural fit for like Midwest and Northern anglers,
Right.
And that's just because I surround myself with it. I am it, you know what I mean? Like, so it just like we talked about, like, you get the concept to firm up when you have discussions with those people and that group of people. So naturally the products are going to fit our style. So,
right.
Anyways, I digress.
You don't have to.
I like it. So then, actually, really quick, first and foremost, Carla, Andrew's mom, thank you very much for the donation. Greatly
Thanks,
appreciate you. So, kind of on the same lines of what Andrew said, where like, what was the quickest to go? Out of everything you have for current product, what was not necessarily the most difficult, but the most tedious to develop that you currently offer right now? That like went through the most iterations for you? Like, yep, that's it.
Yeah, that's easy. So I don't know if Mike Zamp is on here, but Zampa. So the little Magnum jig was the most complex thing, like for sure, in the whole product line. And it was actually like one of the most, I think like the most complex project I've ever worked on, even before I started Beast Coast. By the way, is it like pitch black where I am right now?
You're a little dark, but not too bad.
Oh, all right. As long as you guys are cool with it. I am going to go open my slider because it's hot as balls.
Oh, dude, I had to set up a fan. It was bad. While he's doing that, yeah, Cam, you're absolutely right, because it is better than pretty much everything else out there, buddy.
It really is.
Jim B, speaking for the angler, we see so much on the shelves. It's nice to see that so much thought is put into the product if it really works in the lake. Thanks. Very welcome, Jim.
So, this is going to be so
donation
much
to
better
Andrew out of the house.
Yeah, but so the little Magnum, that jig is sorry, I'm trying to adjust here. So the little Magnum, when you look at that, and it's funny because people are like, oh, it's a bass jig. So I don't think that the little mag gets as much credit. I mean, tons of people love it. That item is awesome, but developing that thing was a real pain in the ass. And the reason is because pretty much every single component is custom. Like, there's a big difference between like, oh, I just got big. I don't like that.
You're welcome. You want me to go back? I'll go back.
No,
you would center attention.
No, but so that jig required, so tungsten, you don't just cast like lead. So tungsten is its own manufacturing process, and there are limitations with what you can do and how you can form the material. So like that in itself, the fact that it was tungsten was an issue. And then, that jig needs this little super strong. It's a 2X, essentially. It's not marketed as a 2X, but it's a 2X because I know what a 2X is. If you look at US standards across our products from Gamakatsu, Owner, whatever, the hook in that little mag is little because it's a custom hook assembly where the hook's actually cut and there's a sintering process, and the actual eye is from a 2.0 hook. So the eye is tiny. So that eye is basically from a whole separate hook. So there's 2 hook specs involved in that jig. And the hook is, a super short shank because, again, it's a custom hook assembly. And with tungsten, you don't just put those things in a mold. They have to be sintered together inside that head. So it's just, and then you got to figure out how to get a bait keeper on there, trailer keeper, and what options exist to keep all the weight in the head so that it falls really fast, which is one of the really cool things about the little Magnum, is that 3/8 ounce little Magnum will fall faster than any other 3/8 ounce jig in the world because it's tungsten and all that weight is in basically that kind of like pointed teardrop style head. So it just goes. Like when it hits the water, it goes. Like there are a lot of lead jigs that, especially like big casting lead jigs that have that like, almost like an archy style, like kind of like our battle flip. Yeah. But that battle flip, a 1/2 ounce battle flip will fall 20% slower than that little Magnum jig. And that goes for pretty much any lead jig with a traditional design where the material runs along the shank, the hook as part of the keeper assembly and stuff like that. But so my point is just that jig, that little Magnum jig had like 5 different components that had to be like done for the first time. And it just got really frustrating because I just wanted to get the thing done because I knew what it was going to be. And it just took a lot of time. Yeah.
Like what best guesstimation? What was the total time frame from concept to actually getting it on shelves?
I think it took like a year of work, like not stalling on the project or anything like that. It's just, you got to source 2 separate hooks. So, you got to inventory plan a little bit around that to make sure that you don't just, run out of hooks after like one production run. So there's planning involved and
so everybody go buy them because they're such a pain in the ass to make. And they're so damn good.
I don't make them. So go ahead, please buy them. Go buy a bunch. But yeah, so that's the deal. That little Magnum was definitely, probably the most complex thing. That's the other thing. It's like, to me, if a lot of these big brands have products that are phenomenal, by the way, like, don't get me wrong. There's big brands that have better products than Beast Coast. Like, so I'm sure, like, I don't know specifically what jig I got to, not many in my opinion, but there's a lot of big brands that make awesome products, but there's a lot of big brands that have like some marginal products that it's like, what is the purpose of that? See, if I do something or put something like that out, I'll have 5 of my buddies texting me like, what the fuck? What is this? Like, this is shit. Like, I'm not you. Like, so I just don't even like, I don't have the luxury to like have a marketing machine behind my stuff. So it just has to be good.
There's no excuse.
Yeah. But
you make something good. We're your marketing machine.
Yeah, there we go. So anyways, that's a good segue into the new stuff if you want to go there.
Yeah, I would say, but real quick, because they're at 8:50, I want to do a giveaway. So we got 49 people here. Let's do this really quick. So everybody that's here in the chat, I'll give you 1 minute. What?
I'll contribute a tactical hoodie to the cause, which is that balaclava face mask hoodie. It's a Reaper style hoodie, but so we'll throw one of those in. So you got to get the shirt size from whoever you draw.
All right,
I don't know if I have mine right here.
Where the hell?
No, I don't have it right here.
There we go. Okay, let's do that for a second. So everybody pick 1 through 80. You got 1.5 minutes, we'll say. Andrew, do you
81.
have yours handy, or do I need to run up and get mine?
I don't have mine. I don't think. Let me take a look real quick. Hold on.
So 1 through 80. I'll pick a random person. This time I got the wheel of names, that spinning wheel thing, all primed and ready. 1 through 80. Figure make it easier than trying to show my damn phone. We're getting fancier here with their setup. So we'll go ahead and we'll do the hoodie from Derek, which thank you very much, buddy. All right, my buddy Chad picked 26. Nobody else picked 26 in the chat. I'm sure it's not there.
Hey, real quick. I just saw something on my Instagram. Oh, wait. Did I just totally interrupt you?
No, you're good. TV18. Sorry, pick another number. I got 26 before you had it in there. Sorry, bud.
This one, right?
That's it.
Yeah. This thing's sick.
Okay, what were you going to say, Derek?
Oh, this is crazy. Did you? Oh, wait a minute. May 18th. Did you guys know that wait a minute. I just saw. I just saw something come across my feed. I don't know if anybody saw this. It's a new New York State smallmouth record as of today.
Wait,
What?
Look, can you see this?
I can pull it up. No, I can't. Hang on. New.
It looks freaking huge.
It says news is the New York State smallmouth bass record was broken today on Cayuga Lake with an 8-pound, 5.8 ounce.
Wow, that beat the previous record by 1.8 ounces. Because the current record right now is saying 8 pounds 4 ounces. Where are you reading that right now?
It just disappeared. It just showed up in my stories. Hold on. Let me see this.
I'm trying to find. Wow, Google doesn't have anything right now. If I can find it all, I can post it up.
That's bullshit.
New York State record smallmouth bass.
It just has the one that was just caught earlier this year, not the one that I just saw.
Nope, that's not it.
This one says 8 pounds 4 ounces.
Yeah, and that's why I think this is new news, because what I just saw come across my feed said 8 pounds 5.8 ounces.
Oh, that's big.
Anyways, I don't want to
Damn.
derail us.
No. It'd be cool to show though. People, are you kidding me? People love to see that.
No, I'll dig more into that. Oh, I know what I'll do. Okay.
Oh, smallmouth just said yup on Cayuga. Well, hang on.
Well,
Yeah. See, okay, so there you go, dude. Yeah, I know Highland Lake, Daniel. What's up? I've only fished it twice.
If somebody can find a link to it, throw it in the chat, and I'll put it up on the screen so we can all see it. Yes, Daniel, it's a fun lake. All right, we got everybody get their guesses in for your numbers. I'll give it like 30 more seconds. All right, well, you know what? You already got 3 minutes. I'll wait 1 more second. It's all over Facebook.
What number?
Well, onward to Facebook. I really want to see if I can't find this so I can.
Yeah, I'm like trying to read about it too. God, Cayuga Lake,
Searching. Probably look like an idiot when I'm like searching random things. Search posts. Chat, go away. Oh, there it is. News is the New York State smallmouth bass record was broken today on Cayuga Lake. It weighed 8 pounds, 5.8 ounces. Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right, hang on.
Absurd.
I might be able to do this. Hang on.
I want to see this.
Share screen, and then we'll do the giveaway after this. Wait, window, Chrome tab.
Yeah, and then let's talk about the baits, because I feel like my daughter's gonna flip out if I keep whatever. She'll grow up.
She'll grow up.
Share that.
All right, let's get this giveaway done.
There it is.
There it is.
Jeez.
I wonder if I can blow that up. There you go. Is that better?
Imagine
Yeah, it
that.
is.
Imagine
Oh
that
my
pre-spawn.
God. Oh, look at that. It's even going to play the audio. Oh, I love StreamYard. See, this is fun.
Same thing as it was last time, right? 858.
God.
I want to see what it looks like when he lifts it out of the basket, because there's no perspective yet.
No.
I know. Jesus,
There
that's
it
a pretty good perspective.
There it is.
Get your arm out of the way, fool.
Stand next to him and take
Whoever's filming sucks.
Oh my God, it looks like a drum.
Dude, that's insane.
Wow.
What you doing? You caught that.
All right, this is pretty cool that I can actually share this. Damn.
That's big.
Looks like it swallowed a rock. All right, let's do the giveaway here. I gotta.
Oh, I
fix
thought
my-
that dude was talking about Highland Lake in Connecticut,
Oh no, New Hampshire. There's
which is
actually
crazy
a couple.
because I'm pretty sure Highland Lake in Connecticut is in the town of Washington. How crazy is that?
No shit.
Oh shit.
Anyways,
Jesus. All right, so let's do share screen, Chrome tab. We need to do wheel of names. Hope everybody got their things in. Oh, come on, man. This thing's a pain in my ass. All right, can everybody see that?
Easier.
Shuffle. Numbers have been shuffled. Click the spin. It even makes us noises. This is great. Ooh,
Number
15?
15. Where are we?
Do we have 15? I'm looking through the chat. Help me out here, Andrew.
I'm looking.
Oh, I see a 12 and a 13 and 11. Nope, I don't see a 15.
I've seen 11, 12, 13, 14.
All All right. Well, roll again.
One more.
I thought it was going to stop at 11:47. What the hell? Oh, I thought I just saw it.
Right here. Mass big baits. No, wait.
did he-
sorry.
Mark?
Sorry. Mark.
Mark! There you go. He's probably already got one, but you got another one coming.
Mark,
Oh,
one?
yeah, congrats, Mark.
Nice. Well, Mark, if Mark's right, it's in Winstead.
Oh, there you go.
That's not Washington.
Washington's really close to Winstead, though. I think. Now you're gonna make me look it up.
Would have been a lot cooler if it was 69.
All right. So let's talk about your new bait that you've got coming out. Now that we've gone through, we got to talk to you a little bit about your process and everything. You have a new bait coming out. I kind of had that little teaser there in the thumbnail.
Two
Talk
baits.
about that. Two
Oh,
bait.
well, you're referring. You don't classify jigs as baits, huh?
Well,
That's an
I would
apparatus.
consider it tackle more than bait, but if I said two baits, someone would give me shit. Be like, a jig's not a bait. I'm like, yeah, I whatever. Okay, so a bait and a jig.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
That's how it always goes. Semantics, potato,
Proceed.
whatever. So let's hear about the new bait that you got going, and you tell me when to start showing off that friggin' little teaser picture here.
Oh man, throw it up right now. Make it easier for me to
Do it.
talk about.
So good.
Yeah. So
So
Oh,
if I can hide my banner.
It's almost like a flick with a paddle tail.
yeah, so there's some similarities. What you're seeing there is that underfin,
There we go.
which is that little thin flange on that tail stem. That's very reminiscent of like the Magic Flick, but so basically we need everybody, since we discontinued the Chaos X, which was a cool product, but it wasn't it wouldn't do what it needed to do as far as this bait's concerned. So this bait is obviously a finesse swim bait. Tentatively, we're going to call it the Easy Rider.
Yeah.
And so basically, the deal with this is
Did somebody say
it's
chaos?
going to be applicable on like our sniper jig or a football head. Some Chaos X is nice, dude. Yeah, and you'll be able to use the bigger size on A rigs and things like that, or swim heads. But yeah, it's a little finesse swim bait, and the primary criteria are, the thing's got to have a really nice, steady, and predictable, I should say, consistent kick, even with almost no forward momentum. So even when you're just creeping that thing, it's got to have a nice, steady kick, and then with that flat side. And the way that head is kind of blunt and there's some flat area under the chin, basically it's going to have a really nice like shimmy or quiver as it's kicking. So, which not a ton of baits have both. Like obviously Kitex, there's a lot of companies that make, not a lot, there's a couple companies that make swim baits where, they're just have really beautiful performance, like barely cranking them. So I want this to do that, which samples will be here in about 2 weeks. So hopefully we don't have to revisit anything. But so this bait should have that ability, but it should also have a really nice shimmy, which bait does when it's swimming. So I think the combination of those two things should make this like a real home run, especially in our region. I'm freaking excited for it because we get asked for it like every other week.
I know I've said it before, and I'm with Alec on this. I am aroused. Mop on aisle 3.
I agree with TJ. He says, "Dude, I'm going to crush the Vermont state record with that."
Well, that
And
would
he
be
probably
sick.
will.
And I believe him.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, man, I'm excited. We try to leave, some elements of realism just because, who knows? Is gill detail something that the fish see? Maybe on bigger swim baits where they're kind of like literally like, you've drawn them with it, but like, I just wanted this to be like a beautiful little bait.
It just looks good.
It just looks like something that gets bit. But honestly, like, the important elements are down there at the whole thing, like the way that those sides are flat. Like if you look at that lower right-hand picture, you'll see that, they're a little bit round, but despite what you might think from a side view, the sides are actually quite flat. But there's still a lot of material like under the chin and in the belly, and it's a little bit flat down there. So on a football jig, it'll kind of like keel it and it'll make it swim really nice along the bottom. And then that little underfin that you see there, kind of like at the base of the tail stem, when that tail kicks, because that little connective flange or underfin, whatever you want to call it,
Anal
is attached further up the body. It's going to help that like shimmy a lot, because every time that tail kicks, it's going to want to pull that body each way. But obviously, it's not going to overpower it. So it's going to create like a nice, it should be really freaking perfect. But that's what the samples and prototypes are for. So
Dude,
I don't know. My fingers are crossed. I know it's going to be really good right out of prototype 1, but guys will get the samples and somebody will bitch about something, and so we'll make adjustments, and that's the deal. But this is going to come from the soft bait factory, which is I love them right now. Really good relationship, like I was mentioning. So once we get these prototypes done quickly, I mean, I can have the production mold done in like 2.5 weeks, knock on wood. I don't know what the hell COVID's going to do over there. Just because the way that China approaches their COVID policy is absurd. But
oh, dude, it's insane.
We're not going to have that discussion because everybody on here is probably going to feel the same way as me, and there's just no point in having a discussion. So,
no, I hear that.
So yeah, this thing can be brought to market pretty quickly. Like I've already got the colors. For the most part, I've got like 7 colors, like already kind of described with sample sets headed over there. So really, it should come together pretty quickly once everything is right. So, like looking at what you see on the screen, there's actually been 1 or 2 adjustments. So if you look at that top belly view, which is the top image. So the head is actually, there's less relief on the eye, and the nose is a little more blunt. So it really hugs up against the back of that football head or swim head. Because, if that nose is too pointed, it just leaves like a gap and it just feels and looks awkward. So that should snug up to a head even better than what you see in this current rendering here. Because again, that nose is going to be a little more blunt and rounded as opposed to pointed like you see there.
Perfect.
So it's little things like that, by the way, that, you kind of very easy not to pay attention to because it looks good, but that's, not what's most important. So,
no, you're right. And that's a really good point. Cause we do that, dude. We live and die by swim baits. This
by the way,
size.
Zamp is right. It's a 2.85 and a 3.8. That's what's coming right out of the gate. So that 3.8 size is big enough to use, on like a swim head or as, any, or the trailing bait or center bait on an A rig or something like that. So, and then the 2.85 is really one thing in mind for that, which is a football head or some sort of like ball or swim head creeping along the bottom. So
absolutely.
So those are the 2 sizes to start. And then, as finances and demand allow, I could see like a 4.25 to round that out or something like that.
Hell yeah. And that
Yeah,
attention
so
to detail of the nose is phenomenal because when we fish
Well,
a ton of
if you
swim
look at
baits,
that-
and like that's one of the things we're always having to do where like I have to kind of squeeze my swim bait ever so slightly and use a pair of side cutters. So when I cut it, it creates a little bit of a cup just barely off the nose so that it nestles up against a jig head just right. So the fact that you're already doing that, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, that was actually something that I probably wouldn't have necessarily felt the need to change, but Gentile, that asshole. Yeah. Anyways, everybody's got something to say, which is fine because if it makes it better, then like I can swallow my pride. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. And the cool thing about this is here, let's do the timeline right now. Like I'll figure this out right now for the first time. So assuming the prototype tests well, I could probably have a production mold done by like, call it July 20th. And all the color work and softness will be determined before then, and packaging tray. So technically production would be done by like, maybe like mid to late August. And then they get on a boat. So I would say by like October 1st, we should have these here, which is just in time for fall fishing. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Andrew and I Andrew already knows what I'm talking about. I literally just texted TJ. I'm like,
Yeah.
we're
This
gonna
thing,
fucking slam on these things.
Yeah.
yeah. And so the other thing that has happened actually versus what you see here is the tail stem, like right behind that rear set of fins. I guess the pectorals. No. Wow, I'm forgetting my biology. That's
That'd be the
embarrassing.
anal fins. You're talking like almost in the middle?
Yeah, because it's not really. It's that spot starting right there in the middle of those two fins. Yeah, exactly. Right there in the middle by the right kind of like the second half or rear half of the bait.
Right in
We're
front of the
actually-
butthole.
Yeah. Essentially, like if you can imagine where the butthole is, that's exactly right. Right there, we've actually like kind of like concaved it a little bit or thinned it out for lack of a better term. So that section there is even thinner. And because of that kind of like flange or underfin, again, I can get away with making that thinner without it having like a stupid wonky looking tail, because again, that underfin is connecting that tail kick right to like enough of the main body to where it's not going to like have a stupid kick. It's going to have like a beautiful, steady kick. So we've done that too. But again, these are the latest kind of like renderings that I had to share. The 3D file that I has. Jesus, I can't even speak. I'm tired. The 3D rendering that I have has those changes, but you'll have to use your imagination for now. Truthfully, visually, not much different than what people are seeing right here. But those two little things are actually going to make a big difference. So
I like it.
So yeah.
Well, you said 7 colors, but I want to know what colors they are. And if
No,
I
no,
don't
no, there's
hear
gonna
Dirty
be-
Perch and Chronic, I'm gonna riot.
No, there's actually going to be 10 colors right out of the gate, but 7 of them are like totally determined. And then, so I don't even know if I'm going to remember this right now, but we've got a perch, an alewife, black,
Yes.
pro pearl, pure pearl, which is basically a pure solid opaque white. And then pro pearl is our like pearl, black flake, silver, with iridescence with that clear laminate layer, just when you don't need that like intense white the whole way through.
Yep.
Smell
I think that's
together.
like 6 colors. And then I've been throwing the idea around. People, I'm sure some people are going to say it's dumb, but so I like, especially in our flipping bait, the flipping delight, I really want to do like a dirt bag, like a black brown laminate, like a dark chestnut brown opaque black laminate. I feel like that would be a sick color. That jig color gets bit so well. And I don't know, like black, I know a lot of people use straight black and little swim baits, and a lot of people use this kind of like, it's not a true brown. It's like more of like a goby brown. I forget what the color is, but basically I feel like if you just did a laminate of those two, that could be a sick color. Although I feel like you could potentially get just as many bites with just the black. So I don't know. I haven't figured all that out yet, but shut up, Zamp. Yeah, you would. You would. Yeah,
Dude, I think that color would work.
Smelt would be. Yeah, I got to take a
Smelt?
look and make sure that Sir Altitude, white as Clayton Bigsby. That's clever. Oh my God. Opaque black with silver shimmer. So Iron Doug, we've got a color called Magic Shimmer Shad right now, and that color is opaque black with a dark purple midline and a smoke bottom layer with silver in it. So pretty similar color patterns. And that actually would look sick in this bait. But that is a hand poured color. So that's a triple laminate, but we could probably get rid of the purple. Anyways, so yeah, as you can tell, I'm deep in thought as far as like final colors for this thing right now. But yeah, so that's an easy rider. We don't have to dwell on it anymore. I think this one's going to be really exciting, and especially since we've already got the sniper jig, and given the region we're in, this bait should be a really good bait. Packaging it is going to be a challenge, just because I've got to figure out how to fit as many of these things as possible into like a small clamshell, because I just refuse to put like a swim bait in just a bag. That's
I
just
hear that.
that's just not.
Destroys
That's just
yeah.
amateur. Yeah.
So one last thing on this before we go on to the jig.
Yeah,
'cause it
Zamp.
is getting a little
Zamp,
late.
that's a good. Yeah, that's like a color for up here. Actually, you should.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I should actually write that down.
I wouldn't mind
Yeah, like
seeing
a traditional
it in,
goby, Mike, but it's more of like a brown green pumpkin. I forget
Yeah.
who makes the color, but I freaking love it, and I meant to make a mental note, and I just didn't. But that's something like a real like creamy green pumpkin, gold purple flake would be sick. Yeah, that
Yeah.
should be essential actually. And yeah, smelt would be cool.
smelt
Sam,
or
you probably did, but
bankroll.
yeah,
'Cause, like,
bankroll.
Bankroll
there's a lot of
is
good
kind of like a
colors that
rainbowy
translate.
smelt color.
I know a lot of
and-
people say that about that bankroll color.
Dude, like especially like New Hampshire Lakes region, a couple of spots I go to in Vermont, like bankroll is the first color I tie on for my drop shot, and that is why I catch the majority of my fish on. It's
I
not
believe it.
quite a dead knock for smelt, but it's pretty fucking close. Like
yeah,
it
it's
just
pretty
works.
close. Yeah, it's got that blue in it, and
So I don't know.
Shit.
So my Jay just looked at that state record smallmouth, and he's saying that it was spawned out. I didn't look close enough at that picture, but it did look kind of oddly shaped. Like it didn't look like a balloon, like a big female usually does.
I think it's
That'd
probably
be
close to 9 pounds.
insane. That would be
Dude.
insane if that fish was spawned out and weighed 8.56 or 8
Yeah.
pounds, 5.5, 6, 5.8 ounces. That's insane.
That's a
That'd
big
be-
fish.
I got to go back and look at it after the stream. But so
Yep.
one more thing on Easy Rider before we go, because my buddy, two things. One, Chad, thank you very much for the donation, buddy. Greatly appreciate it. He said, Andrew, it's for you for a new poster. And the other thing he said was he's curious to know if the Easy Rider and the 3.8 inch will work well on the back of a jackhammer. And if you can get me a 3.8 inch for a sample, I will absolutely test it because that has the right profile that there's no reason why that shouldn't work on the back of a jackhammer.
Well, of course. I mean, it's a swim bait, so it's going to work. It's just, swim baits, like, especially ones like this that are meant for more of a slow, steady retrieve. Like, like if you put a big Kitech swing impact fat, like you're not using that bait for like what its advantage is. Meaning like
Right.
you can put any swim bait on the back and you'll get that like wonky boot or paddle tail, whatever, what they make them do. So yeah, I'm sure this would be totally fine behind. And honestly, depending on how tight and how much shimmy this bait has after we go through the testing, yeah, it could be an awesome option. But I think a lot of swim baits could be. But for
Right.
sure, like this thing could be sick. I have no idea because, primarily what I want this thing to do is swim true with, quiver and a super like buttery smooth kick, like at really slow speeds or on a swim head or whatever. So I'm sure it'll do
Which-
just fine on a jackhammer or bladed jig, whatever
Guarantee
you
it.
want.
Especially
So-
if you're
It's
gonna
going to.
fish it like a 3/4 ounce head, and if you like fishing jackhammers really deep over hard structure, that'll probably be a phenomenal trailer for that.
Probably. Yeah, for guys that fish them like jigs all year round. I don't,
Yep.
but I know people that do.
Yep. So all right, dope. I like it. Let's
Zamp.
move on, buddy. Oh,
Yeah,
what's
that's
Zamp saying? Is he talking shit again?
Nothing. No, it's all good. Let's move on.
All right. So you have the new swim bait coming out, and now you have a new jig head. I'm gonna drop it in right now. This is another thing that you're working on that you had texted me about recently. That I was like,
So-
hell, fucking yes, this is gonna be freaking perfect for so many things that we do.
Yeah, so like kind of similar to the Little Magnum. So right now we've got our Maxfield football jig and our Finesse Dragons, which are both pure tungsten. But I think that this, I don't know yet, and I'm sure this will piss a lot of people off, but this may replace the pure tungsten Finesse Dragon jig because honestly, for what I think most people want to do, with the football jig or be able to do, this I think is going to be a better all-purpose option. So this is going to be made out of tungsten compound, just like our sniper jigs. So everybody that likes our sniper jigs, this has similar elements, namely the material. But so if you
Keep
look
talking.
at
I'll
this,
be right back.
yeah. So there's some little dots or knuckles that are placed right there on that front surface to where, if you're dragging this thing on bottom, it's going to help catch. And couple that with the fact that that hook, the actual line tie is set back behind that midpoint line on the head. So it's actually going to want to pop your trailer up. So you'll be able to kind of like sit there and like feather your
across,
water
kind of-
well. And the football jig's not going to want to move forward much. because again, those little knuckles on the front and because of the placement of that line tie. So instead of moving forward, it's going to pop your trailer up a little bit, but not so much that it's going to want to roll over itself. So,
Right.
by the way, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. You guys got to hold this combo.
I missed what you last said, Andrew, other than he had to pee. Go.
So you're the fucking Derek.
What I miss?
Not you. You're yelling at Derek.
I know. What did you do?
So those like round things on the front of it, they catch it. They like catch the jig head. So, but it's not going to roll over. It's just going to pop it up.
Yeah.
And then if you go too far, it's pretty much making so the bait pops right up. That is actually really freaking sick. I hope he can make it in 3/4. Oh no, it's baby dozer, so it might not get crazy weights on him.
Where'd you see that?
What, baby dozer?
No. Something about 3/4 ounce. So.
No, I'm not gonna ask him if he's gonna make 3/4 ounce.
Oh, so it sounded like you were reading one of the comments. I am curious what all the weights are going to be, and more importantly, what the hook sizes are going to be. Did he talk about that yet?
Not yet.
Okay, we've primed for questions for his return.
Primed for questions.
I was going to get water, and then I decided that beer sounded better because I'm kind of celebrating the fact that my celiac disease test came back negative.
Oh, that's good.
So even though there are adverse health effects with beer, there's not like major adverse health effects from me drinking it. So there's
I can't do it.
Cheers to that.
On camera.
What'd you say?
I can't do it. I want to do it on camera.
Mike knows it all. Mike knows all the secrets. Just keep talking from the bathroom, Derek. We can hear you.
While Derek is shaking hands with the president.
What is Shawnee's favorite fish to catch? No, biggest, most fun outside of bass. Sheep's head / drum.
Not biggest, but most fun. What was the funnest fish to catch?
Or striper. A toss up between sheep's head / drum, depending on where you are. It's the same damn thing. People use different names. Or striper. If we're talking not largemouth and smallmouth bass, like for me, those are hands down my favorite to catch.
All of them. Big trout. Big trout are fun to catch. Lakers are fun to catch.
Yeah, I will say that 6 3/4 pound brown trout I caught last fall was a ton of fun.
No shit.
I'm sorry.
I don't honestly. Carp are actually really, really fun to catch if you can get on them. I know plenty of people that carp fish. I mean, I've never actually gone out by myself and gone carp fishing, besides once, and I caught a giant bullhead, a brown. I can't even hornpout. Whatever the hell you want to call them. Little mini catfish. But he was huge. He was probably 2 pounds. It was big.
Here's a great question we can answer in the meantime from Matt. I need to throw jigs more, but I can never figure out what weights to get. 3/8 and 1/2 ounce is all you need. And I know just as many people that live and die only by 3/8 as there are people that live and die by only 1/2 ounce. Either way, you really can't go wrong. I will try and go lighter more often than anything because what I found over the last couple of years, and Andrew can probably back me up on this, is that the slower you go, and that's not just your retrieve cadence, but how slow you're moving the bait, tends to result in more bigger bass. I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago is when I really got into the mindset of like, okay, I want to catch more bigger bass more consistently. So slowing down everything I was doing, including the lighter weight jigs, absolutely helped my average weight go up. So you really, again, 3/8 or 1/2 ounce, you kind of can't go wrong. Depending on how deep you are, you might want to go a little bit heavier to make it easier to maintain bottom contact if that's what you want to do. But, I mean, you could, if you want to fill out your whole collection with those two weights and split them evenly or dedicate just to one or the other, you can't go wrong with either one of those. If you want to get into 3/4 ounce, go for it. But for me, I've never really found a need for it. Even if I'm fishing really deep water, 1/2 ounce is still just fine. I don't necessarily always need 3/4 ounce. Current is, you're right. Thank you, Andrew. That's where it would start to matter. But
I don't know, man. I love throwing a 3/4 ounce anytime the water's deeper than like 12 or 13 feet. I just don't have the patience. I just want that thing to get down. I want to feel what's going on. Like, I don't know. But that's just my opinion.
That was actually my question. Are you making this in 3/4 ounce or just?
Yeah, what are all
No,
the
so
maths?
this is going to be 7/16 and 5/8.
Okay, I can do
Yeah,
the
so I
5/8.
think those are so basically right below a half and right below 3/4.
So
Or right over a
what about
quarter
hook
and right over-
sizes? Same one hook size fits for all of it, or are you gonna have multiple hook sizes?
Well, they're those sizes aren't insanely far apart.
No, they're
so
not.
The hook that we're using is what you see here is not to scale. That hook, the only part of that hook mock-up that's actually to scale are the measurements of the eye and where the eye meets the actual, like the bend of the hook down there. That's actually inside the head. So that stuff's to scale just to create the actual molds. But the hook itself is a short shank 4.0 BKK, which is one of the best hook manufacturers in the world. I'm sure some of these guys on here have heard of BKK hooks by now. They make unbelievable hooks. They make the hook in the Little Magnum and they make the hook in the Sniper Jig.
Okay, so it's just a really, really good hook then.
They're just
Yeah.
a great. Honestly, they're a true, I think like research and development driven, metal former and manufacturer. Like they're good. They're good at what they do. You can tell. They're not just contracting shit from factory X or Y. Like they own all of their, I think, production and intellectual property. They're the real deal. So I think anybody that's fished our Little Magnum or our Sniper know that those hooks are phenomenal. So
Oh,
yeah. We put in
I don't think I
probably
have
150 fish in the boat on the Sniper alone in 3 days. Never bent out a single hook.
Yeah,
yeah,
so I
that
don't think
hook
I've
is
ever bent
freaking
one out.
awesome. Yeah,
What'd you
that
say, Andrew?
hook in that Sniper is crazy. Like it looks like one of those hooks you should be able to just like almost take like, get a good grip with your thumb and like bend it out. Like good luck doing that. You won't.
Yeah, just saying, Sean. I don't think
It's almost the
I've
same.
bent out
It's
one of those
almost the
hooks.
same wire diameter as like some of the little Z-Man heads from a diameter perspective.
Yep.
And those things you could bend out with, I don't know, but yeah, the hooks are phenomenal. So I would never, honestly, there's not that many more jigs that I foresee Beast Coast making in the future, but there's a hair jig that's going to come really soon, and a swim bait head. So those two will both require hooks, obviously, and BKK is who's going to go in both of those products whenever I get around to it. But back to this I'm actually really excited about because again the hook is just perfect for the jig. All the angles are right. I wish I had like an actual sample to put up here, but this is going to be hand tied just like the Sniper. And it's actually going to be available in just about the same exact colors as the Sniper, which includes 2 new colors that nobody's seen yet. They're coming really soon. Stealth PB&J, which is kind of like a traditional PB&J with some round rubber and like a real dark opaque purple. So that's a lot of guys have asked for that color. A couple guys on here have asked for that color on the stream. We work with an Elite Series angler who's he wants that color. So that color should be great. And then Stealth OG Crawl is the second new color that's going to be available both in the Sniper and this product. And that's going to be like an old school dark orange, brown living rubber blend. So, yeah, man, that's going to round out, I think, a really, really good jig lineup. And this thing should actually, the mold's actually being built for this right now. So this product is going to be available, I think, in like, hopefully, and there's no need to wait for ocean freight because we can pack so many of these in an air freight carton. So I think actually this product would potentially be available around like August 15th, right in the heat of summer when a lot of guys are probably going to start having to drag football jigs all over the place.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I'm particularly excited about this because this is another factory relationship that I just think these guys are going to be a long-term partner. Hopefully Beast Coast stays around for a long time and just keeps going the right direction. But these guys, just similar to the plastics injection partner that I was mentioning to you guys earlier, these guys are really good at what they do as far as their understanding of what we can get away with because this is tungsten compound, so this isn't lead. This is lead free. It's not as dense and hard and small as pure tungsten, which honestly, in a dragging jig, smaller sizes is actually an advantage because
yes, it is.
Once you get below a half ounce in like a foot or in any jig that's meant to be on the bottom, whether you call it a casting jig or a football jig, whatever jig you're fishing on the bottom, if it's tungsten and it's less than a half ounce and it does not have a super oblong profile, which no jig in the world does, there's just not enough material because tungsten is so small and dense. Well, it's dense, so there's less material required to make a 3/8 ounce head, or for example, than versus lead. So you don't want that because every little tiny crevice that thing finds its way into, you're done. And it's tungsten, so it's harder than any material out there. It's especially harder than anything you wedge it in between out in the lake. So you're going to break off almost every one. Whereas this tungsten compound, it's lead free, and it is harder than lead, but it's soft enough to where you can actually pull it free. It'll give a fraction of a millimeter, which is all you need for it to release from like being wedged in between rock, for example. So there's actually, and that's a big deal. Like a lot of people don't even think about that, but you will. I mean, it's a fact. Like it's actually quite logical if you think about it. I mean, you're dragging a teeny tiny little thing that does not have a lot of surface area into rock, and by the way, it's so hard that it won't flex at all or even dent, which is really all you need it to do to like shoot free sometimes from a snag. So,
Right.
So this tungsten compound I really love. I think it's an awesome material for jigs, for a lot of jigs.
Yeah, I like it a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
it's just a different feel to
the
it.
sniper jig.
You're spot on about it being able to break free. That's the thing we've noticed since day one with the snipers is that, like, I get hung up as often as I do pretty much anything else, but I don't break off anywhere near as often. I lose way less snipers than I do anything else because of that resin. Like you said, it's got some
give. Yeah.
So yeah, you can basically just kind of lean into it and almost just pop it
Yeah,
free
you'll
most of
feel
the time.
pop free, exactly. So
Yep.
So yeah, the baby dozer is like I said, it's going to be. You can see the skirt hub on the visuals there. I kept it as close as we could to the actual weed guard holding device, whatever you want to call it, that little extension for the weed guard, the cup. But the they got to have room to the actual hand tying, so we had to extend the that skirt hub just a touch. But there's still the tolerance is such that it'll still make the skirts like pop and flare out like they do in the sniper jigs, which a lot of people love because that skirt hub is so small that it like forces the strands out. So this should basically get that same job done. This should be an awesome product. I'm actually pretty stoked to grab a whole bunch of these for the personal stash as soon as I can get them in.
You're gonna make me buy another Plano 3700 box just for these jigs. Which, by the way, I already have 4 3700s that are full of just your jigs.
You fish a lot of jigs.
Dude, ice out to ice in. Every time I'm on the water, I fish some form of jig. Between the snipers, the hustlers, the little magnums, your Maxfield football jigs, your Vanquish jigs, and I've got some of your swim jigs. Like, I'm full. But I'm going to have all these too.
It's like pick your colors and your sizes, and most jigs do have a purpose.
Absolutely.
I believe that within reason. I mean, there's some companies that have like 18 models of jigs, and I don't really necessarily see a need for that. But
Mike, you shut your mouth.
That's
Anything
funny.
less than 3/8 is in a jig. Get out. 1/4 ounce hustler. I've got multiple 5s on it. You shush, heathen.
Yeah, that's a neat little casting jig in the spring or the fall.
Dude, all year long we hammer them on that jig. 3/16 is my favorite. I like the 1/4 ounce too. 5/6. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's I can't figure it out. There's some days I just want that smaller profile, and that's it. There's nothing else to be figured out about it. And that Hustler just fits the bill perfect, man. And from ice out to ice in, we have caught a lot of fish and big fish, both smallmouth and largemouth on that little jig. What was it, last year, Andrew, down in Mass? It was like a week after ice out on that pond down in Mass. I stuck that 515, and then we won the tournament on the back of that, catching all smallmouth in a largemouth dominant friggin' lake in September.
Mike Zamp.
Oh yeah. That was a good one.
You remember.
Sean, I don't know if we're going to do any of the hybrid colors in this jig. They're a pain in the ass to tie.
I bet.
You know, people always have something to say because you can't. It's a natural material, you know.
Yep.
So, you know, there's inconsistencies in the material, and like the factory is only so good at allocating material per unit. So it's like, you know, I think so. Here, you just made me stumble upon an epiphany, which is I hate drops. Like, I don't like the idea of like, here's a drop, like quick buy before the shit sells out forever. Like, I don't like that. But I think and honestly, the sniper jig hybrid colors might be going away too, because they're just a pain in the ass. But maybe what I'll end up doing is drops of those hybrid colors. I think that's actually a good idea because it doesn't put the onus on me to like micromanage inventory. It's like maybe like in the spring when the water's cold, right before everybody likes throwing little stuff like that. I mean, in the spring and in the fall, maybe I'll do like a big drop of hybrid colors through the website only or something, and that'll be that because, they're a pain in the ass. I like them. I like them. I think there's good applications for it. It's just, just one of those things.
No, I can see that.
So the 3/4 ounce little Magnum mold is underway. It's been underway for like 2.5, 3 weeks now.
Yes.
But that factory's it's a different factory as makes the tungsten compound products. So I don't know what the hell is going on, man. I can only push on so many different things at once. But that's something that I'm trying to micromanage. But, you know, at this point, it's like I don't even know how fast we can get it done. That might be something that if the best case scenario plays out, I'll have those 3/4 ounce little mags in like September. And I don't know. That's a shit time to launch a product, even though you can probably still flip. I mean, you can definitely still flip grass in October. I don't know. We can talk offline.
That works.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I'm excited about Baby Dozer. I think that thing's going to absolutely kill it.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I walked away. Can you reiterate the point of the bumps? Andrew kind of filled me back in, but
it's just basically something to want to grab like rock or hard bottom, you know, just something to stop the forward momentum so that you can kind of tickle your football jig and make it pop up and your trailer will kind of quiver like a crawl. So that's the point of the little knuckles or bumps, whatever you want to call them, coupled with the fact that if you look at the side view, the lower right image, the actual line tie is set just behind the halfway point of the head. So that's going to, you know, obviously make it want to come up more as opposed to forward. So those two things will help you do that without causing it to like, you know, I think there's 1 or 2 jigs on the market where the line tie is like literally like behind the head, almost where the weed guard holder or cup is on this schematic.
Yeah.
And that's good for doing that, but not for a lot of things. So this is like kind of like just enough to allow you to like kind of have that tool. But it's not going to, it's not going to mess with your casting or wrap, or fold or roll over. Whereas, you know, potentially do that if you had the line tie set way back. So that's the deal.
That thing's going to produce some big fish.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And the skirts are going to be shortcut too. Like I said, the hook is a short shank. It's a 4.0 mid wire. It's not a heavy wire. So it'll really easy penetration. And it's BKK. So it's stupid sharp and it's a true black nickel, but, because the hook is short. So basically it's got a really nice wide-ish round bend, but it's actually very, very short. So we'll be able to shortcut the skirts without, making it look goofy, if you will. It should just feel right as a little hard-hitting compact jig. Hence the name Baby Dozer, kind of is reminiscent in my mind of the Little Magnum, which again is like a little hard-hitting, small flipping jig. So this is kind of the same deal in the football jig. It's by no means a heavy-duty football jig, but this is one that you could throw from Texas to Maine. You know what I mean? And nobody's going to be worried about the hook. Right. I know some guys in Texas will bitch. I mean, man, it's crazy. Some of those guys in Texas, they like freaking 2X 5.0 hooks in their football jigs.
Jesus.
But again, that's not really like my market. So I'm just going to stick with what I know people are going to find advantageous.
They're also catching teeners down there, so it's not like it.
Right, yeah, that's like,
and I don't think
hard to break 6 here.
I don't think those boys are too familiar or like the idea of drag.
Yeah, no. Seriously.
They kind of like, it's like,
get in here.
Yeah. Yep. So some of these with weed guards. No, Jim, if you look at the schematic, you're basically seeing just the moldable part of the product. So it's not showing you the skirt or the actual weed guard inserted into the little weed guard cup or holder there. If you look at the top right image, that's basically the length and diameter of the weed guard. That's like a placeholder for where the weed guard will be.
Yeah. And I mean, if you really want a jig that size without the weed guard, just pull it out. I've done that actually with a ton of your jigs, Derek.
You can,
well,
but
maybe not a ton, but
there's a half-ounce jig. There's a half-ounce size in the sniper. So
right. But well, sometimes like I've thrown where like I just want a giant friggin' 3/4 ounce football jig, and I've bought plenty from you where it's not that common for me to do it, but I like throwing the heavier football jig, 3/4 ounce, but I'll rip the brush guard out because I'm specifically using it for deep water smallies. It's only been a couple of times, but it's hard to find, a big old friggin' heavy duty jig with a heavy duty hook, big profile, but I don't want the brush guard because I don't need it for the way I'm fishing it for smallmouth. So does it seem kind of weird to rip out the brush guard and jig? Yeah, but
it's like a swing or a rugby head in that scenario.
I have on occasion, and it's funny you mentioned that because with
you're bugging me to throw it all day.
Strike King, we were talking about. I bought a bunch of those from Strike King because that's something that I've done. I did years ago, and then I stopped. Like that was like 6 or 7 years ago when I started doing it a lot, and it worked. And then just I stopped doing it for some reason. Now I'm kind of swinging back into doing it again.
I wanted to do that today a little bit. I know that flip into light is phenomenal on like a swing or a rugby head with like a 4.0 or a 5.0. I know guys have gotten quite a few messages and stuff from dudes doing that. That little flip into light's freaking perfect on that swing head deal. But
absolutely, because I was
throwing
so
many fish today.
I forget what bait it was last year. Well, I was out pre-fishing last year for the Berkshire Classic. And I was out there like 2 or 3 weeks before the tournament. And based on the conditions I saw, I was like, you know what? I haven't thrown a swing jig head in a while. And so I picked it up, and I forget what I put it on. But it was similar to the Flip and Delight, but definitely didn't have the same action in the legs, but pretty close. And I fired that thing out, and there was like 2 or 3 casts later, I caught a 5'10" largemouth or whatever. I was like, okay, yeah, that was a good decision. It was just the way that they were like nipping it and stuff. Like I knew it was getting bites, but I was like, I got to change my presentation ever so slightly. And I looked in the box, I'm like, yeah, that. And it was like right off the bat. And it was the first 5 I caught in like a month or 2 at that point. I was like, okay, yeah, that's
awesome. Nice. Yeah, there's Locke Holmes. What's up, dude? Yeah, the Marauder's going away, but it will be reformed into a chunk. I don't know when, but we're basically going to take the front half of the Marauder and modify the claw tips just a touch, and it's going to be turned into a dedicated, like a chunk, like a Beast Coast chunk, basically.
Yeah, you get me all excited.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, and it's going to come from the same factory, so it'll stink to high hell with our scent formula. And, the material we use is awesome. So
yeah, it is.
That's
something
another
I've done.
Project that I have no idea when I'm going to get to them.
I still have quite a few of those Marauders. One of the things that I found last year that they worked really well for was a naked buzzbait trailer. Instead of doing a frog, I threw that on, and I actually caught quite a bit of fish using that.
That's crazy. I feel like it would be hard to cast that. Not that it's crazy literally, but like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I looked at it and I was like,
yeah.
I'll try it on a whim because it might work. Because I forget what I wanted, but I didn't have it. I was like, you know what? I've got a ton of these. I'm going to give this a shot. And I was shocked at how well it worked. I don't know if it was just because of the buzzbait that I had in particular that I was throwing it on, but it worked. And I caught quite a few fish on that.
Oh, that's cool. Good, man.
That's fishing. Half of it is experimentation.
It all is.
Yeah.
So that's the deal, boys. The Baby Dozer and tentatively the Easy Rider. I'm not sure if Easy Rider is going to stick. I really like it. I used to love that movie. And I think it makes sense because it's just going to ride behind your swim head real nice and easy. It just elicits the vibe that I want it to. But Kitech has a swim bait, the Easy Shiner. So I don't want anybody to think that like that's why that name was chosen. I'm not sure. That's to be determined. But you heard it here that it's not about copying Kitech's name.
Nope.
It's about the fact that it just seems to work for a nice slow rolling little swim bait, the Easy Rider.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm really excited to test the samples. Usually I'm like anxious. Usually actually I'm very, very anxious and nervous to like get a sample set in of like a prototype. But this one, as I even look at it right now, it may actually just be right out of the gate, which would be freaking awesome. Anyways, yeah, I'm stoked about both of them. But anyways, that's the deal, boys. That's the new stuff. And I hope that I'm not being a dick, but I can hear that my daughter upstairs is fighting going to sleep. And my wife has her all day tomorrow. So I think she needs me to be present shortly. So do you think I got 5 minutes? Is that cool? We're going to maybe do some.
Honestly, perfect. I was literally about to say, I already told everybody in the chat a few minutes ago.
Yeah, they're already on order. Sorry, go ahead, dude.
It's good. Told everybody in the chat a few minutes ago, get in your last minute questions because I want to be able to wrap it up after this. I was hoping to only keep it to an hour and a half. We're at an hour and 45 minutes. That's right about on par for how long these go. So anybody's got a last minute question, fire it off now. We'll get to it. Other than that, for everybody that has watched, if you haven't dropped a like on the stream yet, please do so. Secondary to that, actually really primary, go ahead and check out beastcoastfishing.com. You can go out there. They've got all sorts of everything between jigs. They have tungsten jigs. They have non-tungsten jigs. They have terminal tackle. They have phenomenal drop shot weights. He's got tungsten bullet weights. All sorts of good stuff.
He has pretty much everything you need. Just go check it out.
Yeah, the Beast Coast Terminal Shop is kind of how things got started. Basically, we just kind of bypassed the traditional retail distribution chain. So the terminal tackle you can actually purchase by the unit and at literal wholesale pricing. But I'm not sure how inventory is sitting. We've been selling a lot of certain items now that we're moving into like summer pattern, flipping weights and drop shot weights start to go out of stock.
That's why the moment you drop them, I buy a shit ton of them, even if I don't need them right now, because I do not want to run out. Dude, when you run out, I get so mad. I'm like, where the hell am I going to find my drop shot weights?
Anyway, so yeah, dude, if anybody has like any questions at all, like I'm an open book. So whether it's related to the business side of things or, have I ever considered making something, go ahead and shoot.
Jim B's got a good one. How can we get release notifications for these two? I'm assuming that they can get it if they sign up for your email newsletter, correct?
Yeah. So, Jim, what I would suggest is yes, for sure. But usually just because it's labor intensive to build, an email graphic and stuff, that's usually the last thing to happen. So if you want to get them first, which whatever, some people like that. You should follow Instagram and Facebook because generally as soon as new items are like inventoried and, shipping, the first thing that happens is Instagram, because it's just so easy, and we've always got our phones with us, unfortunately. So I would just say follow our Instagram page and our Facebook page. And if you don't participate in those social media outlets, then just sign up for the our email newsletter through our website.
There you go. All right, last one from Grat, unless somebody else has got another question, but I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one. Bladed jig?
What? Yeah,
You
you
gonna
know,
make one?
so no, so I think a lot of people on this call might have been around. I think we discussed when we came out with the Blade Runner and the Flip into Light. Maybe we didn't talk about that stuff on our live here.
No, but I remember
think
what
we did.
happened.
Yeah, so the Blade Runner used to be called the Chatter Shad, and basically Z-Man approached me. I spoke to Z-Man's president, and actually was probably one of the most down-to-earth, senior management / the highest level of management at what's truly a mid to large company. And he was very respectful about his request to change the name. So that's a segue into, I would only ever make a bladed jig if I thought that it could be as good as what Z-Man has achieved with their intellectual property. And there are ways to kind of skirt that and get really close. But I just, at this point, we had a good discussion. I changed the name to Blade Runner. We had a good friendly departure, and I just don't feel like, shaking the bushes or whatever with Z-Man ever again. And I would absolutely be doing that if I try to design one, because there are one or two little sneaky ways to kind of try and avoid the way that they protect their direct connection between, hook, eye, and head. So the long and short of it is probably not. If their patents expire, which I'm sure they do somewhat soon, although I think they just got a new one. Maybe I'd have like a Me Too product that was somehow, better or more attractive or better price point. But I would love to do that, but I just can't, just get outcompeted. So the answer is probably not. Probably not.
It's fair enough. Well, I see one more. If you just if you design one, you should call it Stabby McStabberson.
It's pretty good.
That's great. All right. Well, you know what? I think everybody had plenty of
Jackhammer for
opportunity to
$5.
Yeah, that would be real magic.
So just so you know, what's really interesting is, where jackhammers are made and the way that they're made, they're a really costly item to produce. I don't think that there's $17 worth of margin requirement in a jackhammer, but that's none of my business. But I will tell you, you can make a jackhammer for $5, but you can never retail a jackhammer using the materials, the same skirt construction and assembly and blades. You can't do it for. I know where they're made. I know exactly where they're made. And the factory's phenomenal, and they ain't cheap. So you couldn't. Yeah, $6.99. It's not enough in it for me. Maybe like $8.99, $9.99. But anyways, there's a long answer to that question.
I like
and
it.
Yeah, I'd love to make a frog. I actually had a couple of cool concepts for a frog, but a frog's another category where there's a couple really, really freaking good frogs, and it's like one of the concepts that I had in my brain was actually a totally different concept that I still think has some good potential. But there's just too much going on right now that's kind of like right down the pipe for me. That's just the development process is easier for me. I can make some awesome stuff, and they're in categories where I still got to fill in, like soft baits. I've got to make soft baits. Then I want to get into probably like hard baits. So maybe a frog eventually. So yeah, nice. Good to see a lot of people enjoyed the show today. That's cool. Thank you guys for joining.
It's always fun having you on.
Absolutely, man.
Dude, I love it. I love talking about this stuff. Although my throat hurts now because, I only have to talk to like 2 other people every day. So
Right.
now that I'm actually speaking for like 2 hours, oh my God, my throat hurts.
You gotta keep up with the fluids. Water would be ideal, but
know.
iced coffee and beer also works.
Coffee's done.
Yeah, Jurassic
Anyways,
Park.
boys, that's all I got for you.
Yeah. All right, we're good. We're going to close it down. So, again, thank you for everybody that watched the stream. We greatly appreciate it. Go ahead, again, check out Beast Coast at beastcoastfishing.com. They're also on Facebook and Instagram. Do us a favor, follow them if you haven't yet on all your social media. Did Derek just bounce out before we were done?
See you, Derek.
Did he do that on purpose? He's probably like, oh, shit.
Well, see you, Derek.
Bye. Anywho, we will be back next week. Hang on, I'm looking down. Oh, okay. So right now, next week we're going to break. Wait, hang on. He's texting me. Meant to X out of the other tabs. Oh, shit. Get back in here.
It's understandable.
All right, text. Hang on. Hang on. Let me get rid of some. Get rid of that. I got removed from studio. Remove from studio. Remove from studio. It's nice, but also like clustery. I've got so much shit here. Okay, anyway. So next week, we're going to be talking about breaking down new water, something that we haven't really revisited since last year, and it's something that I think would be really good because especially with StreamYard set up now, it's a lot easier for me to go through and pull up a bunch of other resources so we can share it. And it's something that the two of us are really, really good that, it just like last time, it's a really good evenly split conversation between Andrew and I, and then it's great because we can field a ton of questions. If you're going to be in this next week and you guys want to be really involved with it, by all means, send us lake suggestions. If it's not your honey hole. But if you want to see a specific lake broken down, and it's a lake that, we know isn't like a mega honey hole for a lot of people, we'll break it down. And we'll talk about something specific. I know, the last time we did this, again, which was about a year ago, we had a couple of very specific examples that we could name names, and, they're lakes that we know, but they're nothing overly special about them. So we can continue to do that. I've got a couple other guys on there. Or a couple of other lake ideas. And then beyond that, so that's June 22nd. Next week, we're going to do the Breaking Down New Water. I'm looking at my whiteboard. I've got this all laid out. The following week, he was in here in the chat earlier. We're going to have Smallmouth Freaks on. We're going to talk specifically about forward-facing sonar, live sonar. He is a magician with that fucking shit when it comes to using it for smallmouth. I mean, Andrew, you've seen him do it how many times now?
Can't get that largemouth, though, can he?
You're gonna rub that in until the day he dies. Mm-hmm. TJ, remember that time you showed me the largemouth I caught in front of your feet?
There's a bunch of big fish on there, but they're not biting. Here, I'll try.
That was, what was it, 4.5 pounds?
4.5 pound largie out of 50 feet of water, sitting on my knees with a buddy heater next to me.
That was amazing. Jim, absolutely. When we break down new water, we're going to talk about electronics too. Actually, it would be nice if we could get maybe that too. So we have Smallmouth Freaks from Instagram coming on to talk about it from, he's primarily a deep water smallmouth angler. Hence the name Smallmouth Freaks. All one word on Instagram. If you want to follow him, that dude catches donkey smallmouth left, right, and center. Mm-hmm. But I still need to find somebody else to come in to talk about it from a shallow water largemouth perspective. I don't want to get somebody in there. Maybe I can give in Steve Estes at Bass Fishing Electronics to come back on. He's good at using it for freaking everything. Maybe reach out to him. Otherwise, I'm going to try and find another kind of regionally local angler that specifically uses it for shallow water largemouth and come on, and it's going to be 90% our two guests talking and us just kind of facilitating questions for people. I don't know. I think
it'll be good. It'll be a good stream, especially with TJ. TJ's cool and he's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, you know what? I'll go a little bit further. We'll go further than that. So July 6th, we're going to do an interview. I have a guy in mind. I have to reach out to him. I think he's already expressed interest in coming on. He is a professional angler, so that should be good. And then the weekend after that, I want to do an interview with a swim bait builder, and I have a gentleman in mind. I need to reach out to him. I'm pretty sure, I know he watches the stream. We talked at the Swim Bait Expo down in Massachusetts earlier this year, so I think he'll be interested in coming on. And then beyond that, the last one that I've kind of in the schedule is, well, typically it would be July 20th, right? The Wednesday. We're not going to actually do it that Wednesday. We're probably going to try and do something Thursday, because we'll be up at Lake Champlain with Candlewood Fishing Camp. And we'll be up there with Oliver and Riley from Big Bass Dreams. So I got to talk to Oliver. I'm thinking that because I want to have him back on anyway, maybe we can just do a stream with them in person from the lake on Thursday night. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
We'll figure it out.
Yep.
We got
So
plenty
there
of
you go.
time.
I have finally put a little bit more thought further ahead into what we're doing for the stream. So we got this all lined up. Other than that, thank everybody for the donations tonight, specifically Chad and Carla. You two are awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Anybody
Mom.
else wants to throw something in there last minute, by all means, I won't say no. Otherwise, everybody have a good night. Andrew, sign that shit off.
See ya. Just like every Wednesday, come back next Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time at 603bass.com/YouTube.
You were almost there.
Backwards.
You were so close.
Way off. YouTube.com/603bass. We will see you guys next week. Peace.
Have a good night, everybody.